we have now an email that was sent to Tesla employees from Elon Musk, and the title of it, dated today, is Taking Tesla Private. I'll start with a couple of excerpts here. Earlier today, I announced that I'm considering taking Tesla private at a price of $420 a share. I wanted you to know my rationale for this and why I think this is the best way forward. He goes through a number of points. First, a final decision has not been made, but the reason for doing this is all about creating the environment for Tesla to operate best. As a public company, we are subject to wild swings in our stock that can be a major distraction for everyone working at Tesla, all of whom are shareholders. He goes on to explain some of those aspects. He says, I fundamentally believe that we are at our best when everyone is focused on executing. Then he goes through how I would envision being private would mean for all shareholders, including our employees. First, I would like to structure this so that all shareholders have a choice. Either they can stay investors in a private Tesla, or they can be bought out at $420 per share, which is a 20% premium over the stock price following our Q2 earnings call. My hope is that all shareholders remain, but if they prefer to be bought out, this would enable that to happen at a nice premium. Second, my intention is for all Tesla employees to remain shareholders of the company, just as is the case with SpaceX. Third, the intention is not to merge SpaceX and Tesla. They would continue to have separate ownership and governance structures. Finally, this has nothing to do with accumulating control for myself. I own about 20% of the company now and don't envision that being substantially different after any deal is completed. This proposal to go private would ultimately be finalized through a vote of our shareholders. If the process ends the way I expect it will, a private Tesla will ultimately be an enormous opportunity for all of us. Either way, the future is very bright and we'll keep fighting to achieve our mission. Thanks, signed Elon. Now, I've read what we consider to be some of the relevant aspects and excerpts from that. You can go to CNBC.com right now for the full text of that particular letter, but that's the news pending. It turns out, Michelle Wilfred, that Elon Musk was certainly serious about his transaction. Now the fallout remains. We'll see what that is, guys.
Dom, thanks for that. And as you said, get to CNBC.com. People haven't seen it yet. And we're going to bring in Mike Santoli.
Okay, can I ask one question, Dom? Do I read this correctly? He doesn't actually make reference to how he would fund this, right? Have I read that correctly?
No, there's no reference in here to how exactly the mechanics would actually go. Just this kind of broad strokes macro picture of the reasons why, the philosophy he has about running a company the way that he wants to, what he determines to be in the best long-term interest of shareholders without the distractions of short sellers or any other public company shareholders. But there is no mention with regard to capital structure. There's no mention with regard to financing, bank debt or otherwise, or bond issuance or stock issuance or otherwise, or what the actual kind of move would be. I mean, details are still sparse, but that's what we read from this email right now, guys.
Dom, stick with us as we chat this further. Sure. Mike Santoli joining us as well. Mike, one of the things that stands out to me are phrases like this, where he says, here's what I envision. My hope is basically what I'm trying to accomplish is. Nothing is definite on this yet. And does that surprise you, therefore, we had these announcements by tweet earlier today when it seems there's still a lot up in the air?
Yeah, it doesn't come off as a corporate plan where essentially there's been a process underway where they can talk about exactly what the state of that process is of potentially taking this company private. And by the way, Michelle, that's exactly what I honed in on, which was there's nothing in this statement, in this letter from Elon Musk, that makes reference to or substantiates his initial tweet, which says funding secured. Right? So that really, to me, is the big open question here. Was that true, what he said initially, that funding is secured? If not, where does that stand? And so really a lot of questions. And I completely understand the objectives that he lays out right here. It's just like we were talking about a while ago. He doesn't like being a public company. He thinks it's detrimental to the long-term mission of the company and how he'd like to invest and take risks and really not be distracted by being accountable to the public markets. But for now, he's accountable to the public markets, and whatever he puts out there really should have a little bit of substance to it in terms of
speaking of the public markets, Tesla is set to resume trading at 3:45 p.m. and we'll see how the stock trades after we see this letter that confirms what we see in this, what we saw from his tweets. Dom Chu, you wanted to weigh in?
No, I was just going to say 3:45 p.m. Eastern time is the actual time that they're going to resume NASDAQ trading. And like I said, it's been halted since 2:08 p.m. Eastern time. 367.25, the last trade there. So again, in just about 10 minutes or so, we'll see exactly how this is going to pan out.